As the governor gave his daily briefing inside, the protesters gathered outside the state capitol. They are demanding he reopen the economy, and many of them not practicing social distancing. Ayla Wolf came to the protest defiant, not wearing a face covering, and insisting she doesn't need to, despite public health data that says COVID can transmit from asymptomatic people in crowds like this one.
The crowd now appears to be in the hundreds. Many are waving American flags, very vocal supporters of President Trump.
This unpermitted rally had more people with guns than with face masks, and not much social distancing either.
I was given $2,000 to pay 3 months' rent. I don't think so. This is my country. This is my government. They work for me.
Angry crowds gathered outside state capitals from Ohio to Kentucky. President Trump is encouraging the protests, tweeting, "Liberate Virginia, liberate Michigan, liberate Minnesota." Stephen Colbert is not impressed.
Protesters carried Trump flags, MAGA signs, even Confederate flags, because nothing says never surrender like a Confederate flag.
Good. I'm not gay no more. Good. I don't like men no more.
You're not going to be president, all right? There is zero chance we'll be seeing you being sworn in on the Capitol steps with your hand on a giant golden Bible.
Hundreds of people demonstrated outside Michigan's Capitol building today. That's a couple of hundred people in a state of 10 million people. Those people were protesting measures Governor Whitmer put in place to keep those people safe. Many protesters carried assault weapons and had pro-Trump signs and pro-Trump campaign paraphernalia. As of tonight, the state of Michigan has 41,379 confirmed coronavirus cases, including 3,789 confirmed deaths in a state of 10 million people.
There have been more protests across the country over state stay-at-home orders. Over the weekend, there were multiple rallies in places like Maryland as well as Indiana. You see people in some areas openly defying social distancing guidelines. The president has publicly encouraged the protests.
Characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly. But fires have been started, and
first thing I want to make perfectly clear: this has been almost entirely peaceful. In fact, completely peaceful.
It's been a mostly peaceful protest, but then they chose to move in.
Many of these protests have been largely peaceful.
Mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Several protesters here. I'm going to show you the truck here that's going by with all the flags. Much of this feels like a Donald Trump re-election rally at the same time. Many people coming out to support the president, many not wearing masks. Some are, but a lot of the people in this crowd right now are not wearing masks and don't have a particular concern about the coronavirus.
I'm looking at those live pictures next to you, and they seem very peaceful.
there are always folks on the fringes of protests that do the things that we don't like.
A few people who break a few windows and burn a few cars.
They just threw something on fire. Chris, a firecracker. It's on fire.
No one should be destructing property and that sort of thing, but I understand the anger.
Discount people who are doing things to public property that they shouldn't be doing. It does have to be understood that this city has got, for the last several years, an issue with police.
So many good people out there.
That group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
So many good people out there who want change and who are demanding change.
Our country was started because this is how the Boston Tea Party, rioting. So do not get it twisted and think that, oh, this is something that has never happened before, and then this is so terrible, and where are we, and these savages and all of that. This is how this country was started.
This is an effort to sort of control the political process by using the coronavirus to their advantage.
And everyone is just together. There are people giving out water. Most of the people have been wearing masks I saw people giving out masks, giving out water.
Let me jump in, Shimon. Let me ask you about that. Let me ask you about that. But I do, again, just underscoring your point. Yeah. This is a beautiful scene, and this is necessary, right? This is necessary to bring about real change.
There were protests last night in your district in San Francisco, largely peaceful protests. So I'm curious, Madam Speaker, what you hear in the voices of those protesters. What are they saying to your ear?
Well, first of all, it's heartwarming to see so many people turn out peacefully.
Video posted to social media shows the moment looters were stealing brand new cars and driving them off the lot.
Bitch ass niggas.
Some of them stopping to burn out the tires on the way.
How many vehicles?
Right now, we're thinking 50.
Stolen?
Gone.
People turn out peacefully. And again, the inflection point, this pivotal point, this moment where people see real opportunity.
Every empty parking space you see here represents a stolen car. They took nearly every high-end $100,000 Dodge Hellcat. The one that was in this spot was used to ram the other ones out of the way.
So I just drove it right through here.
And the one that was on the showroom floor, they drove it right out the front window.
People turn out when they have hope that their presence can make a difference.
Across the street, this was the scene last night in front of the Nike store, the parking lot filled with looters arriving in their cars. The damage gives you some hint of the tsunami of violence and criminal activity that was about to overcome the city. Shelves, racks, cash registers, all picked clean. Glass, merchandise, and debris were strewn out everywhere.
Opportunity now. I see every crisis, every challenge as an opportunity now to redress some of those grievances. And what's interesting about those crowds is they're largely white. They're largely white. About those crowds is they're largely white. About those crowds is they're largely white.
The damage reported in Grand Rapids after a protest there descends into a riot. Police started fires and broke windows. Officers fired tear gas to try and get people to disperse. West Michigan Congressman Justin Amash said, quote, "Let's not conflate the protesters in Grand Rapids with the rioters in Grand Rapids. These are different people with different agendas."
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
What started as a peaceful demonstration didn't take long to turn violent. CNN Center was one of the targets of the frustration of the demonstrators.
Who are they to give us permission to feed our children? Who are they? They don't control us.
Hundreds protested Minnesota's legally enforceable stay-at-home order.
Freedom and liberty.
No one arrested, ticketed, or fined. most not wearing masks or social distancing.
Well, Christine, about an hour after curfew, a large group of protesters came marching down here on Lexington Avenue, where police stopped them and arrested more than 90 protesters here. Officers put them on an NYPD bus and confiscated several of their bicycles. All this after a full day of overwhelmingly peaceful demonstrations throughout the borough.
For the state police said although no violations were issued today and there was no dispersing of the crowd, the commander on scene did try to stress to event organizers the importance of physical distancing.
I'm a white boy, so they throw me in the ground. White boy, hold me down now. Leaves on the trees and the stripes on the street. Come on. Ain't nothing shaking but my